Sometimes you gotta spread out your stuff.
Right, I mean,
Incoming fire.
right.
So it's awesome. They'll be tired. Guys, we were talking Thursday about mowing grass.
Let's all at the same time frame.
That's right, because he was
Those folks ready? Good morning, Hendricks County. Good morning. Thank you for all coming. If you'll join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by David Wyeth. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we've got almost a full house this morning. Our first item is the approval of the April 21st council meeting. Are there comments, or motions?
Move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve and a second. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Passes 7-0. The next item is approval of the minutes for the April 28th joint meeting with the commissioners.
Move to approve.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Discussion?
I do. I can't approve these minutes personally. There were some things that were talked about that I think there's being some things that are moving forward. I think after having a conversation with Denny Dawes yesterday, there's nothing mentioned about the district. I think they're going to move towards a contract, and there's nothing mentioned about that in here at all. There's also, I mentioned about our fairgrounds, and that's one of our resolutions later on our agenda. And that's not discussed in here. And that was sort of a consensus by the council. And I think we need to try to have these as accurate as we can, because even though we have YouTube videos, and those are great, I reviewed through that yesterday, and I didn't see any of that in here. And so I think for the future, we need to try to keep these as accurate as we can, because you never know, YouTube could be hacked, may not be there. After having discussion with Mr. Dawes, he went back and talked about minutes that were reviewed 12 years ago. And Danny talked about the people who was on the sewer board at that time, or regional sewer, and I think Nancy was part of that, Mike Graham, and a person I've known all my life, my mother. So I would like these be revised and make sure we try to get those as close as we can to the YouTube video, just for hard copy record.
Perhaps a motion to table to our next meeting subject to revisions or additions? Would that be in order?
That'd be fine.
I'll second that.
Is that your motion in this?
Yes, sir.
We have a motion and a second. Is there discussion?
Well, the first motion needs to be withdrawn,
Okay.
if we're gonna do that.
Would you care to withdraw your motion?
I'll just say call for the question so we can vote on it and then we can make a next one.
Okay. All right. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye. Which motion? The first one, mine. Okay.
All those, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
It's defeated 6-1. Care for another motion?
And you have the other one on the table. Because he made one.
Well, no, I
No, I
think,
did.
He
Dave,
seconded, he seconded the first motion.
I would ask that maybe Ann would do these minutes, as she is the auditor. She works both with the council and commissioners, and revisit this for next month's meeting.
Are you going to move to table?
Yeah, I'll move the table.
And I'll
Sorry,
second.
sorry.
Okay, we have a motion to move the table, the minutes for the joint meeting. Is there discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Passes 6-1.
I might mention, have these minutes been approved since it was a joint meeting by the commissioners yet?
I believe they have.
Okay. Okay, we may want to advise them, once, if they're approved differently next meeting, that they may want to go back and make an amendment as well.
I think, I'm sorry, may I?
Oh, yes.
I think we've heard what's been said,
Okay.
yes. Today, I don't know if we'll vote on it or not, so.
Okay, moving on to new business. The first item is the council appointment of the Coatesville Clay Township Library. Is there anyone here to speak about that?
This is just a reappointment.
A reappointment?
Move to reappoint Jackie Kramer to the Coatesville Clay Library Board.
We have a motion to reappoint.
Second.
We have a second. Is there discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0. Next is the approval of the county innkeeper fund disbursement for budget
Missed one.
27.
You missed one.
Whoops. Oh, I'm sorry. The approval of resolution 2026-12 approving fire EMS grants to townships, of which there are 6, which would be similar to what we did last year.
Right. And we did this starting 4 years ago to help the, with the county. When we did a public safety lift for the whole county, we decided to use half of the county's portion to distribute it out to the townships to help with volunteer fire. That's what this is. Move to approve.
And Eric, those townships, mention those townships.
Oh.
It doesn't go to all of them.
Clay, it's all the volunteer ones. Clay, Eel River, Franklin, Liberty, Marion, and Union.
We have a motion to approve. We have a motion or a second to that motion. Is there discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 7-0. Now, the approval of the county innkeeper fund disbursement for budget 2027.
Mr. President, as we have done consistently since those funds have been available, I would move that we divide those funds equally between the fair board and the park board.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve and a second. Is there a discussion?
Just a quick comment. I think this is a great vehicle for both entities and it's working well.
It has been, I agree. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0. Next is the approval of the AXS console upgrade for 911. Eric, would you want to
Yeah,
talk about that?
I'd like to invite people from the center to come up and speak.
If you will state your name and address and social security number and all that.
I can do my name and title or address. I also, the county. My name is Renee Tomlinson, and I am the 911 director of Hendricks County.
And just kind of a little background and what's going on with this.
So currently, we have the MC 7500 that is going to be out of date, end of life, which means that they're not going to support it any longer in 2030. So the next solution, which is a wireline solution, we have to have a wireline solution because of the size of our county and how many radios we have on the system. This is like our lifeblood to the outside world. Otherwise, we go back to telephoning them and we can't do that anymore. That's not how we operate. And so it's going to be end of life. And so Motorola came to us They have a solution that's already on the IPSC system, which is the statewide system that allows us to connect. And they have a wire line solution for us. And they came to me and said, we have this, if you get it done sooner rather than later, so that we're not competing, because everyone in the nation who has this Motorola system will be looking for this solution if they're bigger, because this is the only one connected to the IPSC system currently. And so I didn't want to wait until 28, 29, 30, when it's like our infrastructure is going to crash, or not crash, but we're competing also for everyone else to get the system. They offered us $450,000 credit towards the new system, in addition to the state QPR pricing. So I thought that was a good time to get it when I'm going to need it eventually, because that's the only solution. So with the savings, getting it sooner rather than later.
Is the statewide Epic system, is that nationwide also, or just statewide?
The IPSC system is statewide
Somewhere.
for all. There are 90 counties, but there's 115 911 centers. So we do compete with them. But the solution that I'm talking about, the end of life 2030, is nationwide. And we would compete with all of those centers as well to get it installed and all of that before the deadline. Just trying to take the bull by the horn before it gets away from me.
Any comments?
This is sort of a racket. It's sort of what happens with this, is because anything you have with electronics, it has a shelf life of X.
Yeah.
And then to get out of it, they basically just say, we're not gonna service it any longer.
Right.
And I deal with that on GPS stuff, on the farm stuff all the time. It's just another way to get in your pocket. So I get it, and this is very important, so thank you for what you're trying to get done here.
Thank you.
Get ahead of it.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Well, I think we got an email that somebody else wanted to talk on this.
Yeah, Jay wanted to speak.
Thank you. Jay Thompson, 7722 Quail Creek Trace in Pittsboro. I have a copy of the original quote from Motorola. I highlighted probably 5 or 6 times where this is a 20-year end-of-life product. This was from 2014. So suddenly they chopped 4 years off the end of their life cycle. Imagine that. The cutoff date for this particular bonus just happens to end June 30th, which is the end of the second quarter. Would be a very nice bonus for a salesperson's commission or Motorola's SEC filings. Dave was pretty observant to notice some missing things in here. There's another thing that shows. I didn't print 7 copies. I didn't think you needed them, but this was attached like page 3 for the Hendricks County quote. But if you notice, it says Johnson County in there, so copy and paste. So I've seen similar mistakes. Today at 4 o'clock, I'm having a meeting with the state rep who's responsible for helping to put IPSC under DHS. What we think is going to happen is this is going to open up to more competitive bidding versus a single vendor and their pricing. Right now, the state pretty much only wants Motorola equipment. There are other ways in the P25 system, as it's called, APCO P25, that allows so-called disparate systems or other manufacturers' consoles to talk into the state's core. Motorola has priced them pretty high for their interface. So, I would know more this afternoon, at least, whether or not there's going to be this overall impetus towards Motorola or opening us up to more questions. Just because this devices go out of life doesn't mean they weren't going to quit working. Right now, last time I heard, we had over 500 portables that are end of life with Motorola, and they're still on the system and working. That's not to say other vendors couldn't fix these. It's a HP Z2 computer with an interface device, basically transmit, receive audio, push to talk. It's got, you guys have been in law enforcement, you've used speaker mics on radios. This is, a console is basically a very fancy speaker mic. I mean, you get non-select audio, other channels, that type of thing. It's more involved. But what it does from the basics, I've installed Centercom 2 consoles years ago in my career with Motorola. When I worked for Motorola, They told me to go lie to a client one time, and I refused to do it. So I have very little professional respect for Motorola salespeople, because that's what they're there for. They built a great product. I've sold a ton of Motorola radios. I used to do all the radios at the track, worked for the Indy 500 race teams for years, so I made a lot of money selling Motorola. It works very well. They're very innovative in some of the designs, so. I'm working right now with a consultant. We're helping Putnam County. So far, Motorola has come back with 2 best and final offers, and the prices change each time, and they're getting better. So this drop dead date of June 30th might not be set in stone. I looked on the state's website, the QPA site that lists all the equipment that's authorized to be on the IPSC system. This console's not on there yet. I emailed them last night about 10 o'clock, haven't heard anything yet. Said, is this a state pricing? Because there's a discount listed in that quote that they got, and I can't find anything on there. Most quotes that I've seen from Motorola are 90 days. This one expires into June, so that's kind of a red flag to me. I don't know how many other people are using it in the state. I got 2 calls from 911 directors last week. Same thing in Jay County. They were told 20 years, but they're already upgrading. The pricing that Delaware County got is about half of what we got, but yet they're what they call SUA or software update agreements. They're double what we got quoted. So there's some inconsistencies there. So I would ask that at least you table this, and since this is not a end of life, real end of life or a product quality, price is coming up. Motorola likes the FUD factor, fear, uncertainty, and doom. And you talk to a lot of people who have used their product, and they'll tell you some people swear by it because that's all they ever use. Other people have had issues with it and don't like it being crammed down their throats. But I would ask at least we put this off until next month when I can get down and talk to Steve Bartels and find out what the state is looking at, because there may be alternatives. By the time this is done, somebody like CSS Mindshare or Zetron, which makes paging or dispatch consoles, and I've been to both their training classes, so I'm familiar with their product. They may have an alternative solution. Any other questions?
Do you know if any of the alternatives, you said may have alternative solutions, do you know if any of this, are there any solutions with substance that are proven that could
Right now, not with the Motorola core. I know that tomorrow I'm going up to Newton County. They are using a Kenwood JVC system up there, and they've had some issues after they turned on their system back in February. Part of it was due when the tornado hit 2 months ago and tore off a microwave dish. Lightning hit a tower, burned a hole in the fiber optic cable, so they lost their backup system right away. So we're still working on some teething problems with them. So I'm not sure if this AXS console, if there could be some problems with trying to roll it in at the same time. Motorola, when they did the P1 CAD system years ago, and I don't know, Eric probably remembers when we were both on the Communications Advisory Board, but originally the old system, they were supposed to roll in all the run history. So if there was a officer warnings on an address where they had fights or something like that, or a lot of guns in the house, and all of a sudden they said, well, now we may not be able to give you unlimited data. It's going to drop to about 2 years worth of history. And then it started tapering off of that. I don't know what we ended up with when it finally happened. So things can happen.
Are any of these other options wired, or are they all wireless?
Well, this is wireline is where we go into the core. It has to do with the priority and presumption from dispatch consoles and that type of thing. So there are other consoles, what I understand, that have that option, but it has to go through what's a CSSI or a console subsystem interface and an ISSI. And that's where it's being done in other counties and cities. I don't know about Indiana. I know Dallas, they use Viking portables or L3 Harris portable radios, but they have a Motorola for it, so they interfere. There's a Stargate terminal that's very good, from what I've heard. So, but at least wait till next meeting and I can meet and let you know more what the state's plan is.
could you come up, come back up? Are you familiar with these potential alternatives, or?
I am very familiar, and they are wireless. We are too big of a center to have a wireless, and there are options to go into the state core. However, we need a wire line for the integrity, reliability, plus that is the system that the donut counties are on. I'm not interested in being bleeding edge on something that isn't tried and true. I've spoken with St. Joe County, who has the new system in place already on the 911 or on the state system, and theirs is working really well. They're larger than we are. So I know that the system is tried and true and it works. I'm not interested in getting something that isn't a solution yet, that could be along the way and take out that reliability. Also, I would like to say one thing of misinformation that was passed out. Yes, we did sign the contract in 2014, but that system has been around since 2007. So it is 7 years longer. So yes, there is a 20-year lifespan. So it didn't cut short. It's just that's when we purchased it. Just like somebody could potentially purchase the system that we're about ready to upgrade if they're a smaller place and that's what they have the money at the time. So there are different options. But for as far as wire line, there's nothing on the state system that's wire line other than the system that I'm talking about and the system I would like to be going to.
So does your software have some trade-in value? Do I understand that? Is that
I'm not sure, that could be an option we could look at for someone who would like the equipment after we're done with that. I have not looked into that. I haven't taken that
step?
additional step yet, because I one step at a time, but yes, that's an option we could look at.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Dawes, did you want to speak?
No, I just wanted to say that the commissioners have heard this presentation as well as a consensus. We're supportive of it. Then Eric and I are both on the 911 advisory board. I happen to be the chair of that board, and that board sends a positive recommendation as well to support this. So, the other thing is, I have talked individually, the state 911 call system is under the state treasurer, Daniel Elliott. He is probably as sharp an individual with technology as anybody you could imagine. And he is personally very supportive of what Hendricks County is trying to do with the 911 call center with this system. He thinks Hendricks County is probably at the top of what we're doing in 911. So just FYI. Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
Do you want to?
I'm good.
Yes,
So,
some more.
yeah, so for what you're saying, Jay, what would, if something does happen and is approved, is it okay, what kind of savings would it be over what this current price is?
Oh, I don't know, I would have to, get with some sales reps from other groups to find out what their interface cost would be. I'm not saying that specifically it might be cheaper. I'm just saying to jump at this suddenly without at least letting me find out what the state has planned. So it could be they would open up more. I understand that the E.F. Johnson folks in Texas have offered to put in what's called an ISSI system interface that would allow something like this to happen, but the state has told them, no, we don't want that on our system right now. So that may change. I'm not saying it's a bad system. Obviously, it's been around for about 4 years now, from what I can tell. I'm looking at the promotional materials all copyrighted in 2022. And I asked the J County 911 if they got to keep their old equipment, and he wasn't sure if they were going to be able to keep that. So they're still, according to a tech that I know in Texas, they're still putting these 7500 systems in Texas in some areas. So maybe they're wireless, not wireless. But there might be some resale value in what we have rather than just trading it in. I didn't see any, trade-in. I don't have the full document. Just had the 4 pages presented at the 911 board. So.
Is there more discussions, questions from council?
Well, I guess I've had the feeling for years that Motorola has a virtual monopoly at least in Indiana, and whether it's good or bad, to change, to move away from that monopoly certainly carries some risk. But at the same time, I don't see any harm in waiting until June to make this decision. If there's additional information that can be gathered between now and then that would affect our decision, then it behooves us to take advantage of that opportunity.
I have some, yes, Danny?
The discount will be lost. That $450,000 discount will be lost if we wait that long.
I thought it was June.
It says June 30th.
It's to everything be signed. So I have to go through the posting it, and I have to go through the town council, post it for a month. I have all of that I have to also do. So
So why are we hearing this now? Why the short notice?
Because the district just found out like 6 weeks ago, and they've been working through this situation. Because Motorola said like back in, was it 22?
yes,
That they didn't have a solution for the end of life of this, but it was coming.
correct.
They sent an email or a notice out about 5 or 6 weeks ago that said, hey, we're gonna stop on this date, here's your new solution. Well, it's not, I mean, it's just, it sucks.
Sounds like blackmail to me.
I will say that Renee said she pushed back a little bit on him and set a drop date for delivery by September.
Yes, I
So-
pushed it out because I didn't think that I could get it done in time,
Yes.
having all the parameters.
Mhm.
I have done a lot of research on this. I am not the only one in this situation. That's why I'm coming to you in this, so we can get it done. The potential is to wait, lose the discount. I mean, it's entirely up to you guys, clearly, but I just wanted to give you the information, tell you we have the discount now, strike when the iron is hot, and we can actually save the money or whatever you'd like to do.
Is it, what days does Plainfield Town Council have, do they have 1 or 2 meetings a month? Does Plainfield Town Council have 1 or 2 meetings a month?
2, I'm sorry, it's
What days are
the
they on?
first and third
First and third?
Monday. Second, fourth. Hold on, when is yours, the second and fourth? Okay, I'm sorry, it's the second and fourth, because it's the day before the commissioners' meeting. So we have it.
Okay, so, and since they would be paying for it out of their reserve fund, and the reserve fund is built up by unspent funds that we send them every year to, in the center, they would be the ones that advertising the additional appropriation and all that. They're looking for a vote from us to say, yes, we're okay with you guys doing that.
Correct.
So, have you talked to the people at Plainfield Town Council if they're okay with this?
Yes, actually, Robin Brandgard is also on my 911 board, and he is in favor of going forward with it. And Jared McKee, which is the
Right.
Director of Public Safety.
I'm not, I would like to vote on today, but if the rest of the council does not, we would have it on the 16th. They could go ahead and advertise for it, and then if we don't approve it, then they can just say this is, you know what I mean, that we're not gonna do this because it wasn't approved. Because their meeting's on the 22nd, so that still gives you 7 business days to get the contract signed if it all goes through. Is that okay? I mean,
If it still meets my deadline,
It does.
absolutely,
It
yeah.
does, it would, yes, as long as everything goes well in Plainfield. And we approve it on the 16th. But it's up to the council what they want to do.
Or we could take the action today.
Right, it's up to,
I'm all for taking action today. I mean, with the commissioners on board, Plainfield on board, and I'm on one board on board. Eric's reviewed it. I vote that. We have a known versus an unknown. You know, I've worked with Motorola equipment for 50 years, so, yeah, any company has ups and downs and issues and so forth. Their equipment is definitely good.
Is that a?
Mr.
That's
President, may I
a-
ask a question?
Go ahead, sure.
this is only for the console equipment, correct? It doesn't replace the portables, handhelds, or?
No, it doesn't replace, it's our connection to the state,
Okay.
yes.
And if we went with a different console other than the one that is being presented, would that require then us to swap out portables? Would that be compatible with the new system? Do you know?
For any radio is compatible with the system. I don't have to have Motorola radios to a Motorola, this console.
Okay.
It's also for toning out the fire departments. It's not just the radios, it's also all the system.
Okay.
So no, any radio can be on the system.
I just wanted to clarify that we weren't going to, if we paused it, maybe went with something different, that we're going to open up a box that we didn't realize was going to cost so much, is really what my concern is.
No, we would not have to get all new radios.
Any other comments or questions from the council? Anyone care to make a motion?
I made a motion we pass it. I hate to put it off, even run the risk of losing that discount.
Your motion is to approve it today. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the 911 request, and we have a second. Is there further discussion? All those in favor? Oops. Go ahead.
I guess I kind of, nothing against Motorola equipment, and I agree that everything I've heard indicates that it's good equipment, performs very well, and we've not had a problem in the past, nor have I heard of any major problems elsewhere. I guess I just resent being placed in a kind of a hostage situation. This is something that Motorola has known about, and to pop this on us at a late date, even though it's been several weeks, I just sort of resent. That's not the way I think the government needs to be operating, where we're placed in a situation where we have to act or lose something. So for that reason, I'd like to have more information. Probably, I would still vote to go with the Motorola contract, but I don't know that yet. So for that reason, I'll be voting against the motion.
Any other comments?
I think the difference to me that makes my decision to vote in favor is the difference between wireless and wired. That seems very important. Motorola, I feel the same way about it. We're kind of held hostage, but it's hard to look at that discount and not take action if there's really nothing available right now. Now, I think they are blackmailing us with the offer of the big discount, which is $450,000 if no one has said that. It's significant discount. So I will vote in favor.
Any other comments?
The only comment is the end. May have the recommendation from the director, from the commissioners, from Plainfield, from the 911 board. I mean, there's a lot of people that's looked at this. I'm not sure the discount was something that we were able to generate or they presented us, but either way, they gave us an option to slide in there. I don't see this changing for Motorola because it works pretty decent. And I also read it. The other is just a big unknown out there. And this is definitely wired versus wireless, so I may have to have it. And it appears the state is pushing it that direction anyway. So, I think it's saying it, yeah.
Okay.
Mr. President, if I may. We're not making the final decision here anyway. I mean, it does go down to Plainfield, they make decisions. So I might encourage you, Jay, to still do the research and present it to them. If you get valid information that helps them make a decision different than this, then I guess we'll have to start over, so.
Okay.
But just, if we do vote in favor, and I would encourage you to continue.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
I just will say, I'm totally supportive of what Renee and Jared are doing and everybody else down there at the 911 center. I just see this as, like you said, a bit of a push, all of a sudden dangling a carrot. So sure, it's probably gonna be a good system and work.
Call for a question.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion to approve signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Passes 6-1. Next item is a request for a new employee to the Danville Youth Assistance Program. The Danville YAP have indicated that they want to get into the YAP program.
They did, yes. Thank you guys for having me this morning. I just wanted to share, I think you guys got,
Name and address,
oh,
please.
so sorry. Stacy Havermal, 225 West Buchanan Street, Plainfield, Indiana. I gave you guys the highlights of things that have been happening in Plainfield and Avon. Just wanted to share with you guys briefly that your support is making a huge impact, and I am thrilled that Danville has agreed. The town of Danville actually is supporting one employee. Because of the size of Danville, we only foresee it to be one employee that's going to be needed. And so for that reason, my request would be that that position would start in August, at the start of the 26-27 school year instead of January. So that is my request. We did that in Avon, and it was such a smooth transition with the staff being on grounds when the kids started school, and it was truly beneficial for them. So that is my request.
So your request is for additional money from the council as to what the town of Danville has put up.
Yes, the Danville's going to take care of the salary portion, and the additional benefits would come from, for one staff member, the benefits would come from the county.
Comments?
Will the $50,000 they're seeding this year continue? When we started out the program,
Yes.
that
is-
happened and it kind of fell through. And
I asked for 2 to 4 years. What their request was that they were going to commit to 1 year with me coming back and giving a report of what they've done after the year before they make the decision for the next 2 to 3 years.
Thank you.
Yes.
Other questions?
So if that was the case, and we step through this, and the town decides not to fund this again, I think that's a question, are we going to fund all that ourselves, council, or is that something that we need to do this like a grant? That if the grant stops, then we stop, so just FYI.
As normal, they do a bunch of fundraising. The foundation put in $50,000 for what I understand. The hope is that at some point the system will pay for itself, and we're just trying to be on the hook for maybe benefits. But it's real hard to put a dollar amount to save on one kid, and when the judge comes back saying we've saved, his referrals are down 30%.
In Plainfield.
That's astronomical. And I think this is, of all the things we do, this is damn good money spent. So definitely for it. But yeah, we can keep a strong eye on funding as we have with the other entities.
Right.
As we
With this starting this calendar year, will we need an additional for the fringe benefits?
Well, it's just benefits, so we'd have to look. We usually budget higher than we need, so we just have to look at
That
it.
Uh,
there could be a potential for it.
But if payroll comes through, or this payroll would come through the county like the other people. So you would need additional.
Yeah, we would need additional because they would be paying us and we would be paying them.
So, so it would be coming from the county, being reimbursed by Danville. Okay.
we have to move it around.
I have another question. You probably used one of the former job descriptions, which is perfectly fine, that we all do that. But it's under the old system, full-time Pat 4.
Okay.
So do you know what it is under the?
That's right here.
Grade 28.
Okay.
Just regionally evident.
Is it a 28?
Yeah.
12, is that correct?
Is that it?
Yeah, 3.8.
That's what the other ones are.
Yes,
I believe that's what our
Yes.
others are.
correct.
Okay.
If I may, obviously, this concept is now proven and successfully administered for many additional appropriations that come at budget time. But it makes all the sense in the world to me to have this start at the beginning of the school year rather than mid-year. So I'm supportive, and I know Dave is supportive of this. So I'll make the motion that we make this appropriation.
Okay. We have a motion to approve the request. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have further discussion, questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0. At this point, I want to make that doesn't have to do with Danville, but I have an understanding that the town of Avon, and the Avon school system is not going to fund yet after this year.
They did a 2-year commitment. Their
There's
2-year
no commitment to
Their 2-year ends at the end of this year. I am going back in front of the town of Avon, hopefully this summer, to give an update. So
So
we'll
I
see.
must have misunderstood it. And
But the school is out.
2-year commitment through this year from the town and the school. But, yeah, because I interpreted it that was not automatically just going to stop. It's rather continuing, but you're going to be talking about.
We will be
trying
talking
get
to
that
them, trying to
renewed.
get that up. And we still have money in the opioid settlement grant that's going to take care of another staff for another
My
year.
concern was that when we did the pilot
I know.
for the county, we had no idea how successful this could be in trying to save some of our youth that are either in trouble or about to get in trouble. And it's
We're
been-
just making poor decisions, which we've all done. And that one poor choice
Yeah,
can
and poor
send them
decisions are
down a different
easy to
direction.
be on,
And
so,
yeah, so I'll keep you guys informed,
Okay.
most definitely.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
thank you guys, I appreciate your support.
I've talked to Avon. Avon still wants to back this. And
The
I've talked to
town of Avon.
Yeah, town of Avon is still pretty supportive of it. I think they're gonna stay on board. And the school board, I've talked to the superintendent there, and I think they're supportive of it. And, yeah, I know they were concerned about money, but they did get their referendum, so we'll see. If they come up with money, it'll be here.
Our next item, Mr. Ayers, if you'll come forward, concerning the approval of a shop foreman job description in grade level.
Yes. First of all, I'd like to introduce Eric Burton, the new, not so new now, but 2-month-old county highway superintendent. I don't think he's been to one of your meetings before, so Eric's here with me today. Actually 2 meetings ago, I came to you about adding a position in mid-year rather than at budget time. It's a shop foreman position. At that time, we had to have the salary ranking done. We've since done that. But just to reiterate, I think you've got the job description there. We feel that it's necessary to add this now as we transition to our new facility. I think it'd be a good idea to have this position in effect to help with the equipment purchasing and staging and the move and get everything set up at the new shop to function as efficiently as it can. And that's why we're asking for this mid-year rather than at budget time. I realize that's an irregularity, but we think that that's a needed step in the process, and this is the time we need to have somebody in that spot. So it did rank as a grade 30, in the analysis. So I guess I would ask for your approval of the job description and let us to advertise and hire somebody for that spot.
Are there questions from Mr. Ayers, comments?
I think our previous discussion was we had come up with a date, I don't remember what the date was, that we thought was adequate on moving into the new building and sooner than later. I don't know if I remember exactly what day that was.
As far as the move's gonna take place in the fall, we were shooting for September. It looks like it's gonna be in November now because of weather delays. We got it early, but this fall. I mean, we're
I'm
moving
casting
this
my
fall.
memory, but I was thinking about 30 days prior to the move is when we were thinking of this being active.
I think somebody threw out June last time. I think Larry, maybe you mentioned June, but we're there, I guess, in June. But I would like to have somebody on board sooner than 30 days prior to the move because we've got equipment to buy. I'd just like to get that set up a little sooner. That'd be my preference.
Do you have a date in mind?
I'd like to advertise and fill it as soon as we can because we still, as I talked about last time, we have ongoing maintenance issues with our rolling stock that we need to get on top of, and this position will help us do that. So I'd like to advertise and hire as soon as we can.
John, you have 2 mechanics right now.
We have 2. We had one quit, but we filled that position, and he starts next week. So we have 2.
That's tough. Find somebody mechanic.
I will move that we, is there already a motion?
Yep.
Okay. I will move that we approve this shop foreman description and grade level at this meeting, and he can proceed to go through the hiring which will take 2 or 3 weeks or more.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
While we're talking about the new facility, I appreciate Nancy's email, and every once in a while I think Nancy's kind of my conscience. We, as you'll recall, when we approved the budget, the issues, or the bond issue for the new garage facility, we as a council were not receptive to the original bids. And so we asked John and commissioners to come back with something that would not have such a large expenditure of funds, and he did so. And since then, I've thought we were kind of spoiled with our jail. We got a great facility for a lot less than many of us thought we would have to pay, and I think that led us to believe that we could do that again. And I think we overlooked maybe the fact that we hit that jail project at just the right time, and with Greg Garataz's leadership and guidance, we were able to get a wonderful facility for relatively not a lot of money. And I think that led us maybe, or led me anyway, to be less than receptive to what was originally proposed for the garage facility. And there have been several times when I thought about that and regretted that we tied your hands.
You weren't the only one that was kind of shocked at the first estimate, so I thought, I didn't disagree with the council and the commission with that. The first go-around, the first estimate, of course, that's from architects, sorry if there's any architects in the room. So I felt that was too much too, and I think what we will end up with is a serviceable facility for a long time. So we're happy with what we get. It's going to do it. Provide well for the
I
county.
appreciate that. And we're gonna have to add it later at
Eventually.
it's, all in all, it's gonna cost us more than it would have if we'd maybe paid a little more now. But I just wanted to publicly state that personally, I think my decision was maybe not the best in the long term.
We worked fine with the limitations we were given, and I think we'll have good shots.
Appreciate that.
On our next item, Rhonda, would you kind of introduce this before Mr. Price comes on?
Sure, and I think John is here and Mr. Price. So this is resolution number 2026-18. It's a declaratory resolution to establish an ERA. Let me give you a little bit of background on this. So fill in wherever I missing information, but the application for this establishment was submitted to the county on the 6th of May, and it requested that 6 parcels be designated as an ERA to join, I believe it was 5 other parcels that we were told were already in an existing ERA. As we tracked down some information in the auditor's office, I spoke to several people. I found that we don't really track existing ERAs, so it made sense for us to redesignate the parcels that they said had already been designated, and then include the new parcels. I think we ended up with a total of 10, and you'll see that in Exhibit C, which is the map. There are 10 different parcels that they would like to have designated or redesignated as an ERA to build a new spec building. Bill can talk more about that building here in a minute. But what we're asking for is that eventually these 10 parcels would be would be consolidated into one. I know the assessor's here as well and can talk to that fact. So I think I'll stop there and see if there's any questions.
I'm Bill Price, and Jamie Chrisman is here also with I-70 West LLC.
Can you step to the mic
Right
and
What this is this proposed building number 6 is within the geographical and adjoining parcels of the area that was declared an ERA under the 70 West Commerce Business Park back in 2013 under that resolution. In past years, we have asked, and the commissioners have added additional land to accommodate some of the buildings that are now existing there. There was 3 or 4 additional acreages that have been added. Now we're down to, this is the area where there were some properties that were acquired that have not been included in that, and we're combining those to create a building site of a little over 47 acres for building number 6, which is a 634,000 square foot spec warehouse distribution building. And that'll be similar to the other 5 buildings that are in existence there on the facility.
So it's a spec building with, so we don't know what might come in there.
No, we don't. And that's how the other 5 buildings were processed and put through for the abatements, being that they are spec. I can cite some facts for you if you would like to have that. But we report every year with the CF1s, the employee numbers and salaries that the tenants give us to enable us to file those compliance reports. It's been very good, I think, for the county.
So far, we think so.
Yeah, I think so. We brought about and added over $300 million in additional assessed value so far for the complex. And, there's some undeveloped acreage on the east end of the property towards 39, but we don't have anything in mind for that at this point. So that's our request. We're requesting that, as Rhonda said, look at it as a consolidated acreage tract. By the time we come back to the next hearing, we hope to have that all combined and have a parcel number assigned to that. we do have an address, I think, assigned for the proposed extension of Distribution Boulevard coming from the north across and headed down toward 1000.
I've got multiple questions. I mean, have the commissioners been involved in this discussion up to this point?
Yes, we
Has
have.
anybody on the council been involved up to this point?
Pardon?
Anybody on the council been involved up to this point?
I don't know the
No.
answer to that.
And that's what upsets me is this is a big decision because we're pulling parcels from another ERA area. Has a financial analysis been done to see if that other ERA area will be able to fund its bonds without these parcels that they're pulling into this one?
Greg Gertaz with Municipal Consultants, our Financial Solutions Group, municipal advisor to the county.
Yes.
We are in the process of doing that, and that will be discussed at the next RDC meeting. But we have not finished that analysis. We do believe that the current bonds at the current level, the initial review, shows that they will be satisfied. Keep in mind that the Hendricks County is not on the hook for those bonds.
Right.
But we believe it will be okay.
So what is this resolution actually doing? Is it moving parcels or saying that that's okay before we know the math that works? I have a problem with that.
So not to confuse it with EDA, there's an economic development area which applies to the TIF, which Adam Storwald has been working on. And this is the ERA, which designates the area as needing improvement for purpose of tax abatement. So I think, Eric, what you were talking about deals more with the bond repayment, is the TIF and the economic development area. We're not touching any of that. This is just the designation for the ERA. The revitalization area that you have to establish that says this area is in need of improvement, it needs to be rehabbed, or it cannot be improved without extra assistance in this capacity. It's a tax abatement that normally the partnership brings to you, Joe Jason, they normally bring these, but for some reason this one came a different path.
So today would be a declaratory,
Correct.
as I understand it, and back in a month or our next meeting for confirmation. But in the meantime, these 10 parcels need to become one parcel.
This declaratory resolution is the first step in the process of establishing an ERA. It just so happens that we're also adding to that the 10-year abatement language, which does not have to happen. You can do a resolution that just establishes the ERA. The next step would be that you have to advertise that this is proposed and have a public hearing, and then you have to adopt a confirmatory resolution in order to make it happen. It could be that you never do adopt the confirmatory, or I've seen with the resolution from 2013, they waited 6 years before they adopted the confirmatory resolution. So that is all subject, this is not a done deal by any means until the public hearing happens and you adopt the final resolution to establish the area.
And so I totally agree with that. And Eric, the TIF discussion has not even taken place on a preliminary level at the RDC. That's where it would start.
Our county assessor, Nikki, do you want to comment or any thoughts?
The only comment I think I would really like to make is just the importance of making sure that these 10 parcels are all combined before we apply an abatement, because it will be extremely difficult to figure out an abatement. It's gonna be hard enough with the building. I mean, they're gonna have to combine it. There's no way at some point, but I know that takes time. We've got time to get that done. It's really, I think, the question is whether or not you guys are gonna entertain the possibility of an abatement on this spec building. And if you are, then this is the direction we need to go. It has to be approved into that ERA. The combination of these into one parcel is something that can happen at any point. So that would be my comments.
And we're very much in agreement and understand and intended even before we got to this point that these parcels would be combined. It's since we had no inventory of vacant buildings to market there, we would like to advance this second building number 6 within a reasonable time so we can start construction. And understand we have to have your approval and the approval for the abatement to make it possible.
If you decide you'd like to go forward with this resolution, I would like to know what the company thinks the time frame is in getting the parcel combined, because we have to advertise the public hearing and we would have to list the legal descriptions for all 10 parcels right now in that legal advertisement. That would probably take up a bunch of, probably the whole top half of the newspaper. So if that could be done before we have to advertise for the public hearing and do the confirmatory resolution, that would be my preference.
What date would we have to advertise?
Well, your next meeting in June, we'd need at least about, you have to have the 10-day notice, and they probably require like 3 additional days to get it to the newspaper, so you're looking at 13 days before your next meeting.
Yeah, the latest would be June 1st, but the end of May, which is next week.
Yes.
I have a question, and he's coming forward. Come
Yeah,
ahead,
the
Tim.
next planning commission meeting to combine them would be I think the 7th or 8th, somewhere in the second week of June.
Tim Dabrowski. Tim, you need to come forward. But I have a question to this because we just approved this in Plan Commission last week. So my question is how can you have all these different parcels that you're asking to combine and you come to the Plan Commission about a building before you got this all taken care of? I need help with understanding
The
that.
plat can run concurrently with the
Okay.
development plan.
Okay.
We've already approved the primary plat.
The 47.
Yeah. So the secondary would be at the next meeting.
Okay.
It'd be that second Wednesday in June,
Okay.
I think.
Because I was confused when I seen this, I thought this looks familiar.
Yeah.
And you're trying to put all this together, and I thought, well, isn't this putting the cart in front of the horse? Because you already came to the Plan Commission.
Yeah.
And now then you're coming back and asking to put these together, so.
There was a little confusion at the beginning on this simply because of some misinformation, if you will, or so forth, which I think that Rhonda and we have been able to resolve and totally understand. And it is the owner's intention to get that combination and transferred ASAP. So I think we said we could have it done in 2 weeks.
Right.
And then-
Rhonda, if I may ask, if, I know that the abatement is part of this, is this something that we can separate and declare the ERA without doing the abatement? So that we kind of help Nikki with her concerns about some of it's already in there, or it's not all combined, and the abatement would be very challenging to perform with 10 separate parcels?
You could separate it. The issue still remains though, because you need to be able to designate the area. And that's the issue, is that there's 10 parcels now and we need it to be 1. So that problem still exists even when we're trying to designate the area.
So they really need to combine the parcels before we even address this? Is that what you're saying?
At least before the confirmatory resolution is done. But then you have to also decide whether you want to issue this abatement and at this level. There's no data right now on their SB1, whether they are gonna create jobs, they don't know, because this is a spec building. So we don't have any of that information.
So taking this step today, we still have another step to formally adopt all of this. Is just to get it on the record to get moving.
Correct. This resolution could totally change in the confirmatory. You could change the level of abatement, as long as it wasn't more. But what this triggers is that now we have to advertise to in the newspaper and to all the underlying taxing units that this is on the table.
Move to approve.
Second.
A motion to approve and a second. Further discussion.
Dr. I have the process started.
May I ask if the motion would be contingent on them getting the parcel combined before you would consider the confirmatory?
Yeah, if they're combined, then there's no reason to have that.
Is there a second?
I agree. I agree.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0. Thank you, John.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And the clock's running.
Yeah, I know. Thank you.
Our next item is the analysis on fairgrounds bonds or an expansion of the fairgrounds. Mr. Caritas?
Thank you, and good morning. What a great day to be alive in Hendricks County. So,
Yes, it is. Most every day is.
so as the county's municipal advisor and in talking with the Fair Board and with the president of the council, we've kind of begun the process that we had discussed almost 6 months ago about moving the additions to the fairgrounds going forward. By the way, just a little advertisement, if you're interested in a good quality bond issue, you can buy after 11 o'clock Plainfield school bonds. They're really good credit. If you don't know where Plainfield is, it's just right down the street. So, and so we're proud to be their financial advisor or municipal advisor. I got to keep calling it municipal advisor for over 20 years, so 25 years probably. So,
Triple A.
pardon me?
Double A, triple A.
Double A plus, I believe, and state intercept, so you're guaranteed to be paid.
Great.
Probably have a coupon of 5, but it probably yields you about 3.5.
This sounds more like a promoter than a municipal advisor.
So, and I do not sell them. I'm the person that structures it. Okay, today you have a resolution on your agenda, and I'm playing Adam Steerwall, not to be confused with him, but.
He's better living.
Yeah, thanks. I hope
Second
so. So, this resolution, it basically is summed up in section 1. That the county hereby declares the reasonable expects to reimburse with the proceeds of the bond expenditures for the project made by or on behalf of the county prior to the issuance of the bonds, which expenditures are expected to be paid initially from legally available funds. So, that's all this resolution does is a requirement of this federal tax law that you have an intent to reimburse. We have not appropriated the funds. We don't know the level of appropriation of funds, and we don't know where you're taking them from. All of that has to be done. But this has to be done before you really work into any soft cost or questionable. They usually allow it before this resolution, but soft cost and hard cost, it's best just to get this resolution done if you want to move forward. So, in order to support this resolution, we had put together this analysis, which is similar to the analysis that you've seen before. It does have an estimated project size of 19 million. I did not estimate that. That came from the Fair Board and I believe with confirmation with you, Larry. And so the interest rate we've assumed is 5%. Now, if I turn you to page 1, here's the really critical thing on page 1. What we did is we looked at an option 1 and an option 2. Option 1 is basically where we said if we were to do this bond issue and the bond proceeds, the bond issue would be around $19,350, we would have to put some cash in it on an annual basis. That's why it's $175,000. Why do I say that? Because we're trying to keep the tax rate neutral. Remember, that's always been the plan. Roll the current tax rate over into the new, so actually the impact on the taxpayer is 0, okay? And so what we said then is really what we need to do is probably look at option 2, and if we issued only 17 million and put some cash in it, if the true cost was around 19, then what we would do is basically keep the same tax rate again. So we're saying either the project needs to be between 17 to 19, depending on the interest rate market. This resolution only, again, is an intent. You've got to do bond resolutions and all of those things. So you're not approving any of that. You're just approving to reimburse yourself, okay? And so, and the amortizations schedules are behind that. And then we've been putting this in our new analysis on page 4. We show the tax impact, but again, we make note there on the footnote that the current rate is 0.086. The intended rate is to be no more than 0.086. So it's a wash. Okay, and so, yes.
If I'm looking at this right, for the real this thing, if we put in 2.2 million over 20 years, we'll save 3.5.
Oh, yes, you would save interest expense on the overall, yes. Matter of fact, Rush County did, I went through that with them.
Since the rates are all the same, that's probably our only reason to do it, if we had 2.2 to put in.
Okay, now remember that this is the coupon rate of 5%, okay? So today, when you buy a Plainfield bond, and you say, I want a $5,000 bond, the coupon will be 5%, okay? But the underwriter that's selling you the bond will say, David, we need to get 5,100 from you, okay? Because the interest rate market is not 5%, it's 3.7 or 3 point whatever. So that additional, remember we talked about premium bonds, and we did that for both the jail, we did that for everything we've done. We've gotten recently premiums, and so we would get more. So the interest rate is more like 3.7. Now, as a registered municipal advisor under Securities and Exchange Commission, they just brought a suit against a financial advisor that didn't point out that if you put the 2.2 in here, okay, you will lose interest income on the 2.2 that you have in your bank. So the real break even now with these interest rates is your cash is probably earning equal to what you can buy down. So at this point, I think that might be a good decision, okay? As interest rates change and we get further down the road this year, that may change, but that's what it looks like at this point.
So you recommend option one or option two?
I'm liking option 2. But again, these are all not to exceed numbers, and I believe the Fairgrounds Board and everybody have a lot of work. They haven't bid this project, so we're just getting it so that we can do some preliminary earthwork this year, it's my understanding. And obviously, there's people here that can better answer those questions. So, yes?
What's the threshold before this has to go out for referendum?
Well, this will be done as a building court bond. And so as a building court bond, we're following the same scenario and we're under it. So we're fine.
What number is that today?
I don't have that at my fingertips, but I can get that.
My question is, we built an entire highway garage and brand new property and everything else, and we held it to 19 million, and now just this 19 million, everybody's just like, okay, let's do it. Is that a real number? It needs to be $19 million? I mean, to think about all the equipment and stuff that went into the highway garage versus a building at the fairgrounds, what's this being spent on?
You will have to ask the Fair Board. It is my understanding it's a new addition, but beyond that, those things are still being worked out.
Can I pause with that and ask the President of the Operations Committee, Mr. Wicker, to come forward and answer that?
Come on up.
State your name.
Tim Wicker. So Eric, your question. So Edwards Rigdon did, Arc Design and Banding have been doing the preliminary engineering. Remember we did $50,000, kind of doing $100,000 total. to do an initial kind of design and that. And then Rigdon has done a full estimate for us, a full breakdown. We've gone through it. That estimate's got earthwork, paving, site work, the building, FF&E as well, kind of all in that number. That's for what we've tried to get that to be an all-in number from construction side. Doesn't call bonding cost and all that stuff, but it's got everything else in there laid out.
How big of, all right, I'll have to get it later. Okay. Thank you.
So if you choose to go forward, first step is this, of many steps to go, obviously.
So we're not agreeing to the 19 million at this point, not to exceed 19 million.
You're merely for this resolution, it basically, I thought it did even have, it says right up here, preliminary costs related to this is anticipated to be 19, not to exceed 19. And so again, I don't think you're agreeing to that 19 million in any way, shape, or form.
Questions from council? Comments?
I guess I'm feeling the same way about this as I felt about the highway garage. What's being acquired for the money that's being spent, and
Steve, could you come forward with what the purpose would be for this building and why?
Steve Patterson, Executive Director for the Fairgrounds. So we did the study back in 2024, 2025, looking at where we are from the fairgrounds capacity-wise. That recommendation came back to do additional square footage for a conference center. So we're looking at 22,000 square foot conference building with additional classrooms. And this building would be connected to the current Hendricks Power Expo Hall. So this would be able to generate additional rental space for us. We are full on all of our rentals that are happening in the Expo Hall and in the North-South Hall. So this new building would give us additional capacity to help keep the fairgrounds going into the future and bring more economic impact to the county and the town of Danville.
So the addition would be on the order of 22,000 square feet additional. What is the size of the exposition hall now?
Hendricks Power Expo Hall is 17,000 and the North-South Hall is 11,000. So this will be giving us additional space for that. We already have inquiries for events and trying to work through additional in 2028, 2029. So we already have a lot of capacity to fill this additional space. And then additionally, this is parking spots. So this would give like 450 additional parking spots that would be to the north of this building. So it's not just to the building, it is additional parking that will be able to be used because currently we do run out of parking spots for what we have. So this will be an additional ability.
So if you're able to proceed this year with start of work, then when do you anticipate the building being open for rental?
So we've been talking to our construction team, and they can jump in if I say anything wrong. But the big thing is looking at timeline to get the plan is to get the earthwork done in order to have pads built to start dropping steel, and in order to also continue with the fair, because we probably would be looking at hopefully with the fair structure going up and right after the fair to be done by early 2028 to be ready for the 2028 fair. And so it's trying to work through all of our logistics also because we want to keep operating. So trying to deal with all the different events and figuring out how we can cordon all this off.
Steve, correct, that's 48,000 square feet. 48,000 square feet. Not 22.
What was that?
It's 48,000 square feet. 47, is that right? Is that
The new building would be 47,000 square feet.
47,831, that's.
So it's gonna basically double your
Well,
capacity.
yeah, and that's, the main building will be 22,000, the main expo hall will be 22. But with classrooms, because we're going to have classrooms, that will get us to that 48 that he's
Makes it a total more on.
Total square
Yes.
foot.
48.
Yes.
The new building will be steel framed like the current expo hall, essentially.
Yes.
Yes.
Thanks.
More questions, thoughts, comments from the council? Hearing none. Anyone prepared to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve resolution 2026-16.
We have a motion to approve. We have a second. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, passes 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you very much. By the way, on Friday, we got real good news on our supplemental lit. Did you send it to council?
Not yet.
Here's one that we printed off and you can share. So that was real good news.
Before you go,
Yes.
I've been talking to Greg about a couple of things. People always, I know there's been a huge uproar about property taxes, especially for homesteads. And to give people an idea, if we were to replace all homestead property taxes with the income tax and get rid of the property tax replacement, add that in, it'd be about 2.5% on top of everything else for the county to do that.
Oh, probably easy.
Yeah, that's confirmed by Charlie Ross.
Okay. I have staff.
Yes. And then the other thing that concerns me, I've watched all the AIC videos that they sent out in email about the new formulas coming out and new parts of all the new legislation is, the most concerning part about that to me out of all of it is that the towns can, instead of adopting their own tax rate for people in their towns, they can say, no, we want to levy the entire county to pay our income taxes.
Yeah, but then they're locked into it.
But my point is that's placing a big, they're asking us to do their dirty bidding by doing that and taxing everybody that doesn't even live in the town to pay their income taxes. And I do not look favorably upon that.
That's what came out in the very last
Yes.
minute of
Yeah.
legislation.
I actually have this little chart that kind of shows you, just to answer that, Eric, and it shows you down here the different county services, fire, municipal, and it says who
Right.
the tax base is over. So this is a nice little chart, and it shows you the adopting body, okay? And so it is all coming right back, in my opinion, to the county council, other than the towns that are large.
And, well, I mean, the towns that are large can say, county, we want to use all of your income for this tax.
As we discussed, yes, they would then be subject to.
Right.
So that's why in this little chart here, I think it's really good, it says city or town council.
Okay.
And so,
But it would be the county council, under municipalities choose to opt in, yes.
yes, sir.
And then the other thing is, AIC supposedly is developing a software that you can plug all this stuff into and show what those do or our rates for everybody else. It looked like if it works, it's gonna be awesome, but if not, that's supposed to be out sometime this summer.
Yeah, we have our own model that we've actually already built for Hendricks County because we have some clients that are asking us about it. And we've also done it for Hancock County. So we'll have a competing model to see where we end up. The key will be if we get any type of reliable adjusted gross income for the municipalities. That will be the absolute key.
Has the state said when they're planning to get that out?
Sure, it's coming, I believe.
It's in the mail.
Quote, it's in the mail. So and obviously you need to I would suggest that you need to start looking at forming your MUS group. which is one council member, or in most of the counties I'm working with, we're having 3. So did you have any other questions
That's it.
for me, Eric?
Thank you.
Sure. Anything else?
I don't believe so, thank you.
Okay, please look at that supplemental, it's great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
very
you.
much.
Greg, I'm embarrassed to ask, but the bond issue for Plainfield
Yeah.
is for what?
So Plainfield Schools, first of all, has one of the, I think they actually have the lowest tax rate in the county of all schools. And they keep doing a small GO, this is a GO bond, so that they can keep the roofs and the HVAC. The HVAC is outdated by over 20, 25 years now. So it's kind of like your 911. You got to stay on top of these assets. They've done a really good job of staying on top of their assets and keeping them fresh and good shape. So it's not a big $40 million, it's
That's
just a
right.
normal $6 million doing maintenance work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, next item on the agenda, Ann, if you want to present that concerning the prosecutor's office.
So there are 2 grade 37 deputy prosecutors, and they should be making equal amounts. One resigned, and the person that is being promoted, they want to make that same amount as the other one. However, that amount is above midpoint right now. So according to everything that you've approved, they need to request approval. The appropriation is there and the salary ordinance is there because the other person was already making that amount.
Comment? How long has the other employee been a grade 37?
I'm not sure.
So my argument is, why do they have to make the same amount? If the one that's been at 37 longer, somebody else moving to a 37, I would think it wouldn't necessarily have to make the same amount.
I think that's just.
You know what grade
Go
the,
ahead.
you know what grade the person is now that's moving into the 37?
She was a 36.
So she's gonna get an increase, just moving to 37. Well, into a position as a newbie versus somebody's been there for a while. I just don't understand why I have to be the same.
This is why I voted against what the judge requested to do us a meeting or 2 ago. This is the exact same request, and that's why we should have voted no on that. Just because somebody's in that position doesn't mean they be paid the same amount. I'm gonna vote no on this because this defeats our entire policy of our payroll and how things are set. We opened the floodgates by saying yes to that judge a meeting ago. I didn't say yes, but the council did. So now it's the same question, exact same question again. This person's in this position, a new person's coming in, they have to make as much as the highest paid person in that position. It's not right, and I'm not for it.
Rhonda, could you
Yeah.
address
And I
this?
take this as a request from the prosecutor.
Yes.
correct? So keep in mind that the council is somewhat separate from the prosecutor and what they do with their budget. So there's a degree of separation. We actually have a memo from the prosecutor that talks about the reasons why case law has indicated that there is this separation. And it's mainly because the prosecutor can actually prosecute one of you or the commissioners. So there is a degree of separation and control about their budget. So I just want you to keep that in mind.
It's also nice for them to ask, but they can tell us. I would rather them tell us. They're putting this burden on us instead of them making themselves out. We're doing this. Will you guys do this, please?
But I would also say too that you control ultimately their overall budget. So that is where you make the tweaks and how they decide to spend within their budget. They're a little bit different than the other departments within county government.
All the people, or all the staff working in the prosecutor's office are subject to the prosecutor because it's part of the judiciary, so there's a separation, which makes it difficult for us. And so we do need to approve if it's gonna be over well, no, we actually have the funding available. So it's a difficult situation, we'll say, that the legislature has put us in. so.
Beating a dead horse, and I've accepted it. But what Eric said, and this is what happens when people's performance and longevity got added into their, so everybody wants to make, people just want to make the highest amount. It doesn't matter if they're good, bad, ugly, whatever. They just want to make the most they can. And their bosses generally want them to make the most they can. But anyway.
What you're saying is correct, except for this other office. That doesn't apply to.
It applies completely to them. He's wanting to make them to pay the same. It's his request to do it, the same as it was the judge, the same as it is for everybody else. If we're going to go through this all the time, we need to go back to everybody in grade level makes the exact same pay. We're going back towards that slowly, but it's taking up much time in our public meetings when it's ridiculous. Just everybody get paid the same in grade levels, it fixes all this, because our managers can't manage the system.
Except that the other departments and offices to somewhat don't, that's not part of that.
Correct. You almost have to look at the judicial related offices as separate. As a matter of fact, there was legislation in House Enrolled Act 1161 that talks about whether or not those offices or those prosecutors, probation, courts are subject to the county handbook. And it really says, no, they have their own handbook. We need to make sure that they do, but that's new legislation where they're not even subject to the county handbook.
Nor is anyone else, if they choose not to be. I'd like to beat another dead horse, and that is if the state legislature would step up and perform its function, the prosecutor's office, a state office, the judges, state offices, should be paid by the state. Those offices, those employees should be paid by the state because they're doing a state function, not county. And, well, I've made that argument a number of times, but we have a General Assembly that doesn't feel obliged to do so, so long as they can push that obligation off onto someone else, namely the county council.
In order, can we get a motion here?
There's a vacant grade 37 spot. So he doesn't need our permission to move somebody into that. But by our handbook, when they move somebody into that, they have moved in at the midpoint.
Yeah, anywhere
But
between.
now we're also hearing that our handbook really doesn't apply to the court system. So the other issue is the money side. If he has money in his account that he can put there, he should give it to him and we can't say nothing about it, right?
No.
No. I mean, I thought that's what we were saying when you said that it was, they're separate from us.
If they change the salary, we still approve salaries though. They just can tell us what the salary has to be.
And we need to put that into our salary ordinance.
Are you talking judges and prosecutor and probation? None of them are subject to council salary?
All other salaries, we have to approve their salary. We set the salaries of the employees. We can't, the way it's written is that the judge can tell us what to pay them. We can either approve it or not, but in order for that person to get paid that much, it has to be approved by the council. Whether they're our employees or not, we pay them, so yes.
That's correct. That's correct.
Well, I'm going to have to vote against it because I have questions that I think the prosecutor needs to come in and answer. And the fact that, well, the prosecutor is not a judge. And I know that, again, the General Assembly doesn't seem to appreciate the problems that it has caused, but so long as the prosecutor doesn't have the ability to mandate, I don't feel that we necessarily have to do what the prosecutor says.
Can we get a motion to table to our next regular meeting?
Well, the thing is, Roy, is if they have the open vacancy, he can move somebody in there at the midpoint without a commission, right? So we don't have made motion to approve anything.
Well, we could table this request for additional, or to bring him in higher than midpoint.
Motion.
I'm making a motion that we table this request.
Second.
And we have a second to the motion to table this to our next regular meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0. Thank you. Next item is approval of resolution 2026-11-C. Ms. Cook, if you will.
This is ordinance 2026-11C. It's an ordinance amending the salary ordinance, which is ordinance 2025-43. We're now kind of getting in the routine of whenever there's a request for changes, that we get it documented and put into the salary ordinance, and that's what we have here. I think Ann can answer any questions when it comes to the changes made, but some of these items are the ones that Aaron brought to you last month. We're just getting them in documented.
Yes. These are all the changes to the salary ordinance since January. So these have all been seen on the HR report. We're just getting them amended.
It's an amendment.
And anything that you approved last month.
Is the deputy prosecutor one on here? Is that the one we just talked about, or is that?
No,
That's the other 37? It's the
that
exact
is
same amount?
a different person.
Okay. Thank you.
Is there a motion?
Isn't that the same amount I said, right?
Yeah. The same.
That's the same amount. Well, I'm reading that one about halfway down, deputy prosecutor.
Yeah, I think that's the other 37 that he's trying to match. That's the person who's already making that amount.
Yes,
He's-
they were
the one
already
he's
making
bringing
that
on, he
amount and the
wants to-
salary ordinance was wrong.
Oh, okay.
I'll move to approve.
We have a motion to approve resolution 2026-11.
It's actually an ordinance, sorry.
Whoops, excuse me.
Yeah.
Ordinance. That's sorry, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion.
I have a question, just looking at this since they're all together. I don't remember why all these road crew workers went down. Aaron, do you
These are
know?
all new employees, so they start lower.
Okay, so they're all new employees, okay.
Further questions, further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0. Next is I'm going to open a public hearing on the additional appropriations. One is, I guess it would be 1 through 14. And then underneath that is our corrections, error corrections. So it would be 1 through 14 that we would be discussing. Is there a motion to approve or comments, thoughts? Yes, ma'am.
Question on number 2 and 3, which are prosecutors. Are they, either of those connected to what we just tabled?
No. Those were from last month.
Is, on the probation, number 6, that's by their schedule, right? The years of experience?
Yeah.
Right. Questions? Comments? Anyone care?
Move to approve 1 through 14.
We have a motion to approve 1 through 14. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second for the motion, discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0. And other business, we're acknowledging the HR report.
Do you have It says in addition to this list, we correct this account number. Do you need does that need to be corrected and they need a motion to correct those numbers?
Yeah.
I move to approve the two MVH corrections of the account numbers.
It's just one. The first one is the error, the second one is what it should have been.
I make a motion to approve fix the issue with the last meeting.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve? A second? Yes, sir. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 7-0. We acknowledge the HR report from Aaron. Also, the status of funds. Is there any comment on the status of funds? Hearing none, we'll move on. Are there anyone wanting for public comments? Mr. Ayers?
I'm not sure I'm public or not, but I wanted to come to you real briefly and talk about some changes we want to make at the highway department involving salaries. And Larry wanted me to come and address the council with these changes, proposed changes. A little bit of background, as I think everybody knows, for as longer than I've been here, which is a long time, the highway department's been paid, the normal work hours have been 7 to 4 every day with a paid lunch. So essentially they're getting 40 hours straight time a week plus 5 hours overtime every week. And I don't know what generated that change. It was back in the 90s. I don't know what was going on that created that change in working hours and compensation, but that's just the way it's always been. And employees were hired knowing that the 40-hour rate, but also with the knowledge that they were getting that extra 5 hours a week overtime every week, and that's the way we work. And the arguments for that were usually efficiency-based. I mean, we work better if we can stay in the field longer. It's just a more efficient way to work when you're not working in a set environment. And over the years, there's always been some questions about that and some concerns. And I think very recently, the council's made it pretty clear that they want that changed. I don't call it mandatory or automatic, but the 5 hours of overtime a week, I think you've made it pretty clear that needs to change, and rather than it being automatic, and I think the change was worded differently in the salary ordinance this year, to say as approved. And so we are moving away from that. We're authorizing overtime only as approved. Now, there still is quite a bit. Again, if we have projects that we need to stay in the field longer, we do that. But we are, the regular working hours now we're moving towards where everybody expects it to be 7 to 3 instead of 7 to 4. So the standard working hours now are shifted to basically a 40-hour week with overtime as needed and as authorized. Realize that whether, we can debate whether or not they should have been getting overtime all these years, but essentially that amounts to a 15% reduction in these guys' check, what they're used to getting. So when you take that 5 hours overtime at a time and a half a week, that's 15%. And so that's a significant hit to a lot of our workers. Now, they're still gonna see some overtime, so they won't see that, total loss, but it will be a decrease to them. So there's some concern over that. And we've talked about ways to try to make up for that in monetarily or otherwise. And one of the ways that we have talked, one of the methods that we've talked about is maybe switching our working schedule to 4 10-hour days a week for the 40 hours instead of 5 8s. And I sent you guys an email Friday, I think, with a copy. Eric made a pretty good memo highlighting the arguments for doing that. There's a lot of arguments for that. Again, efficiency, longer day in the field, that way we don't spend as much time out of the day mobilizing, demobilizing. There's efficiencies in getting our equipment to the field, fuel costs. In general, people tend to like that schedule better. Now, it works better for some people than others. So there's, it's kind of split. The opinion's kind of split if it's better or not. But most of the departments around us use that at least part of the year, use 4 10s instead of 5 8s. So it's pretty common, and people learn to take advantage of that, I think. Like I said, that memo goes over a lot of the efficiencies that we think we'll see from that. We will still have overtime. So if we have a road closed, we're replacing a box, or we have equipment rented, or we're working on another contractor schedule, we're gonna have overtime. It's not probably gonna be at the end of a 10-hour day, it's probably gonna be in that Friday you know, we need to work Friday to make the most of our road closure, make the most of our equipment rental, to match up another contractor's schedule, or paving contractor's schedule, or whatever. So we still will have quite a bit of overtime. It's more of a management challenge for Eric to make sure it's distributed evenly, make sure it's done well enough in advance and scheduled, and that we're managing that overtime properly, but there still will be quite a bit of overtime. But we think long-term, and in the bigger picture, the 4 10-hour-a-day schedule will increase our efficiency, and will be better for our employees. So I didn't know if you had questions on that or some concerns. There's still some unanswered questions. You know, how do we handle it on weeks that have holidays? There's a couple different ways of handling that. Some places do that by saying, well, a week with a Friday off anyway for everybody, we work 8-hour days that week. And some places just say our work day is 10-hour days, so instead of getting Friday off, you get Thursday off. So I don't think we've solidified how to handle issues like that. You know, there's been a lot of questions about PTO accrual. You know, they will still accrue it the same way they do now based on a 40-hour week. They just have to think further ahead about how to spend it, how they can use it. You know, it won't be in 8-hour chunks now, it'll be 10-hour chunks. So there's some issues like that that still have to be resolved, but we think long-term it'll be an advantage to the employees and an advantage to the county. It doesn't substitute for the income that they're gonna see being reduced, but it's kind of an intrinsic benefit that we hope will offset that sting a little bit, so. Did you have questions or issues? And I guess it would require a change to the, I don't know if it's a change to the salary ordinance or the policy or what technically, where the change would take place. But Larry wanted me to come talk to you guys about it and let you know what we're talking about.
So today you're making the council aware.
Yes.
That this may be instituted, or
Yes.
that
Yeah.
you haven't done it yet, but you're.
Correct. Yeah, and I know the council, I mean, we've talked a lot about that extra 5 hours many times over the years, and especially recently it's come up, and changing our work hours to reduce that. And
I don't think the council's issue was not with overtime, it was when you say mandatory.
Right, or automatic.
For the whole year.
Right,
That's difficult to rationalize that.
I understand.
Oh, I make one thing clear that I learned from being auditor is in our system for everyone, if you're off on a PTO day or holiday, that's not worked hours, so you don't fall into time and a half. So they may be there 45 hours, but if they were off a day on Monday and worked Saturday, they didn't get time and a half.
That's correct.
So,
That's right.
so it's not as big a number as you might expect because we have a lot of days off.
Yeah. But again, I just wanted to point out for the worker, they're seeing their what they expect on a weekly basis.
All right.
So.
Thank you, John, for making us aware of it.
What are the commissioners, what's the commissioner's position?
We are supportive of what John and Eric, with the highway department, of kind of looking ahead and trying to figure out, you have had the question of this paid overtime for a long time. And it's not just trying to solve that issue, but how to improve the work schedules for the staff out there and so forth. And so we have looked at this with John and Eric, and we are supportive of the way they're looking at this. There's some questions, yes, but moving in the right direction, and I think they will get those worked out.
We haven't gone to them for a decision yet on that, or to actually take the action, but they're aware of the proposals.
Well, I think we need consensus of the council to authorize him to proceed with wiring this up. And I'd definitely be in favor.
Excuse me, Rhonda, do you think the council needs to take what Mr. Cox just recommended, or did you not?
Let me hear what he said again, because
Well, I don't think we need a motion to approve, I just think we need a consensus to tell him to go ahead and proceed with getting this lined out, because they'll be bringing changes to the handbook and stuff to us to approve, so.
Is this something that you're thinking for next year? For
No.
next, or just, are you thinking?
Right,
what are you-
Sooner,
Okay.
yeah, we'd like to make that change sooner.
Okay, I want to look to see if, I think that this change is a council-approved change, or if it's council commissioners. I know that you have to get the commissioner because you're one of the departments under them. So you have to make sure they're comfortable with it. What I want to check is whether or not the council would approve that type of change as well. Give
Yeah,
me
and
a
I wasn't
second.
sure the mechanics of
Okay,
making
let me
a
look real quick.
constitutive change, that's one of the reasons.
Let me look at it.
Part of me almost thinks it won't be, because if they're getting paid the same, then.
Right, dollar-wise, it's not gonna make a difference.
Can I ask John another question off this subject?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
No, you can.
What are you guys thinking about the fuel tax suspension and what's it going to do to?
That's another conversation.
Is it gonna- it's,
It looks good right now, but every time the state does that, it ends up costing more in the long run.
It's automatically a deficit.
They just moved community crossings money out. The grant's out 3 months to like the end of September or something now.
Already
July
approved
1st.
grants or the next call?
The next call.
Okay. Yeah. No, it causes so many complications, I think it ends up costing us more every time. And it puts, funding for projects in jeopardy and things we're trying to get programmed in jeopardy. But they usually backfill that. I think they usually always backfill that. I don't think we'll see a difference in our monthly distribution, but they have to backfill from somewhere else.
I don't think the average public makes the connection between fuel tax and their county needs,
Right, right.
which is normal.
Right. Everybody who drives I-70 ought to realize, well, those improvements may be delayed a little bit.
Until they hit a check hole.
That doesn't take long on I-70.
Well, if you need a motion, I made a motion and we approved John to start the process and
Okay.
bring it back to
We have a motion to approve from the council standpoint. Is there a second? Second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 7-0, so we're in support of that.
All right, so we'll move forward and figure out what exactly needs to happen. Thank you.
Yes, sir, come up.
Just a reminder to both of our groups, the commissioners and the council, we need to put a joint meeting together again with our financial advisor to go through the capital projects. And that way we'll meet the bond agency's requests for that information. So we'll work together and get that set.
Yeah, I'll get with you and we'll try to figure out when we can do that.
Okay.
And I think we'll have a list in some sort of an order as a result of our previous joint meeting.
The other comment, quickly, the old community building out at East Campus, that's gonna be coming down in the next few days.
Well, we're looking forward to
When you
that.
drive by there, it's gonna look totally different out there.
So where's the Parks Department?
Pardon?
The Parks Department has been,
The Parks Department's offices are moved out of there.
okay.
And the holdup was the voting machines.
They are Gibbs, okay.
The voting machines are moved out or will be, and once that happens, then we can get the building down.
Okay.
So, yeah.
The new storage building for the voting machines and stuff is ready or is close to it, if not.
Right.
And the Parks Department, I think, moved out earlier this year.
We were at the Gibbs homestead as of last August, our administrative
So
staff.
August, yeah, that you were moving, so it should be empty.
Yeah.
So we have several elected officials. Do you have care to make a comment or questions for us?
To make a comment, even though I'm not an elected official, just a department head, I don't know where my title falls.
You can come up here, Jeff.
Come up here, please. Your name?
I'm Jeff Pell from the Purdue Extension Office. I'm County Extension Director. I just want to make you guys aware, you probably received an email from Dr. Bernie Engel and Angie Abbott here a couple weeks ago. But if you have questions, we don't have all the information about how it's going to be accomplished as far as what they put in the email, as far as the delivery. But if you do have questions, I would request that you email Angie or Dr. Engel about those, but mainly, we're working through the process. It won't go in effect until next January, but it's just mainly working, utilizing our staff, but creating a different delivery about how we deliver programs and stuff to the community. So if you have questions, we'll have more information on that, hopefully within the next few months.
My interpretation of it, that there may be a reduction in funds.
On the state level, yes.
On the
State and
state.
federal level, the main move of this is trying to assure that we can utilize and provide the same community impact with the staff and the funds that we have available to us. So how it impacts the county, we will know more information here, hopefully.
So we need to get back together. What you have.
But I just want to make sure you understood, if you have questions as far as that email is concerned, we're kind of have about as much information as you guys do at this point, but if you have questions, please refer to that email that was in there.
Thank you. Anyone?
I'll go. Okay. I just want to kind of give you guys an update. I sent an email and let you all know that I was doing after-hour sessions with my assessor staff, and we've had 3 of those so far. The first one was in Danville. Then we went to Brownsburg, and last night we were in Plainfield. And I'm calling them a success because we've had, I think I had 15 people the first night. We had 24 that came to Brownsburg, and we had about 20 last night with the rain. So I just kind of wanted to let you know that we're out there, we're doing it. People are responding. They're very thankful for that opportunity. We can talk through stuff with them. We've been able to make some corrections right there on the spot. We also then can talk them through the appeal process, help them fill out that appeal. So it's been really good, and I just wanted to let you guys know where we're at. We got one more left. It's next week, Thursday night, and we will be in Avon at the library from 4 to 7.
Thank you for letting us know about
Sure.
that, and I'm glad to hear that it's successful. That's
Yes.
good.
Probably saved us from having some irate taxpayers coming to us.
Yes, yes, thank you. Catherine?
Hi, I just had a point of clarification. It's
Come forward.
performance eval season, as you know. And the question is, are we intending to use the bonus pay worksheet again this year using fiscal year 26 wages?
I don't know that I don't think a decision's been made on that.
I would think so if we're going to continue with it.
Probably.
I wouldn't want to reinvent the wheel every year.
That's my hope.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Questions about change?
Any elected officials? Department heads? Department heads? No? Okay, council comments, Mr. Cox.
I'm good. I think we pretty much covered.
Yes. Ms. Marsh?
I have 2 things. We talked about, probably since last budget, setting the COLA early to enable the auditor to do her work. We need to do that at this meeting. June through eternity is budget time. And so she can plug that number in and not have to go back and make thousands of changes.
I agree with that and what Ann's wanting and what you have wanted to do. My concern at this date is that we don't know how sustainable our revenues are in order to adopt a COLA for next year.
We cannot wait. I can't emphasize that enough. What kind of nightmare you gave this auditor?
No,
We just got 3 million extra in income tax. I shall say no more, but it needs to be done. That for the record.
What's the COLA amount, Nancy?
It was 2.47, and I would recommend the 3%, that she could calculate the 3% and get it in the system.
Oh, so that she's already got it.
So
in the
she's
system.
already got it.
If it has to be adjusted down.
Right,
whatever.
yeah.
That's what it
The delay in getting it in the system was just horrible for everyone.
Well, is our consensus that that's okay with the 3.0 for her to be able?
Motion, I think I'll do it.
You good with that? Everybody? Eric, you okay?
Sure.
And my second, sorry.
Okay, go for it, Ann.
And my second thing is the State Hall County Council meeting is
June 13th.
June 13th, Saturday, June 13th at the Renaissance there on the north side, really easy, just off the interstate. There is a reception Friday night for people to gather and talk with your peers if you should attend. If Ann was doing reservations, so I know Larry has reserved himself.
Yeah, I've already.
Yeah, and Dave and I, and so any others, contact Ann, and they should have the demo of the new program. I'm hoping we'll be able to see that demo of the new program
At that meeting.
at that meeting.
Oh, great, that'd be good. And I was glad to hear that today that FSG has worked up one specifically for Hendricks, so we can make some comparisons.
But all those models aren't worth anything until we get income.
Right,
Yeah.
right, as
But at
somebody
least
asked
the
about,
models would be there.
the good numbers are key.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Wyeth?
I just have one quick question. It's to our auditor. Since our property taxes, and everybody talks about property taxes and taxes, do we have any requests that comes from any of the other units of government from property taxes asking for an advance?
No, we have 2 schools this year that asked for an advanced draw on their settlement, but that's normal for schools because their school year, they need money before their school year starts. So
they're trying to get that money in before they start next fall. Okay. But what are the 2 schools?
Northwest Hendricks and Brownsburg.
So far.
Northwest did last year as well, so.
Eric?
Nothing.
Mr. Hassan?
The state call meeting is what I was gonna mention.
No, those have been very, very, well, very useful to council people, I think, in the past.
Yeah, and I would say this, very likely this is gonna be our largest attendance, because of the must legislation, so.
No, sir, thank you.
Rhonda?
I have a follow-up question about the motion that was made about the COLA. Because just to make sure everyone's clear, COLA doesn't apply to all employees. And I think in our last salary ordinance, we had some employees that it didn't apply. So just want to make that announcement that COLA does not apply to all employees, and that is something for further discussion at budget time, how that will be applied.
Yeah, thank you for that, pointing that out. Okay, finally. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.
Those AIC videos you're talking about are those available for public?
No, I don't, so they sent us an email, I can forward it to you, that you can click through to YouTube, but when you go to the AIC channel, they're not theirs. So I don't know if they have like, it's like a hidden click through link or what, but I'll forward it to you.
Because I've been watching some of Larry DeBoer's stuff.
Yeah.
He's pretty sharp on
I did. I'm not sure. I'm citing high for me.
That's weird, those videos they sent out, if you click on the link, you can find them. But if you go to the YouTube channel, they're not there anywhere.
Okay.
AIC?
Yeah, so if you click on the video 1, 2, and 3 on the email, it'll take you there. But if you try to go to their YouTube